Hello, it is Sarah with House Copper. Today we are going to do something technical and something that hurts my brain, but I'm a visual person and I'm going to show you both out here in the shop a little bit, and then we're going to go in the house and I'm going to walk you through what it takes to make a pattern that is not a straight-sided mug, pot, vessel, but a tapered mug or a bowl that is that has a slightly different radius from the top to the bottom. So like for instance, this, I'm so not used to my hair being down, it looks weird. This is a pattern that Bob and I made, and it kind of is the recipe for how to make a mint julep cup, which you, I don't know if it's been posted yet, the one that I did for the setting down machine. But it has the recipe on how to do this, but the most important part was this pattern right here. And this, because it is shaped like this, means that the finished shape is a tapered vessel. So in order to create a pattern for a tapered vessel, like somebody right now has asked me to make a bowl out of copper, but they would like it to be taper-sided, 10-inch diameter bowl. So for me, I think the shape that looks the best is a 2-to-1 ratio. So if it's a 10-inch bowl on the top diameter, I'm gonna do an 8-inch base. But that's a pretty big pattern because it is actually it's way bigger than you realize. And so what I need to do that is I need to do the math to find the frustrum of a cone. Now, before you freak out about it, and if you've never done it before, there's like an 11-step direction thing, which we're gonna go through in the house, and you can do with, even if you don't have all the tools. But this is a pattern for the bowl that is going to end up being 10 inches on the top diameter and 8 inches on the bottom. And as you can see, once I actually finish putting it together, this is the pattern, but I make it out of copper. You can see it is a tapered sided piece. It is going to be 10 inches across, and it is going to be 8 inches on the bottom. In order to make something like this, a few things that you have to be aware of after you find the frustum of a cone and you draw your initial pattern. The first and most important thing is you may get it wrong like 3 times. Bob has been doing this for forever, and he and I still can sometimes go through these patterns like 3 times before we think we have it right. Secondly, after you find the frustum of a cone, you have to think about your seam and your burring and your wiring allowances. So you've seen on my videos using a wiring machine and a burring machine and soldering seams and things like that. So when you have a pattern like this, I found my frustum of a cone, and then you may see extra lines on top and the bottom, and then on the sides. And those are my seam allowances. And I usually plan on, there's a ton of math that goes into this, but I usually plan on adding a bottom burr. So my smaller interior diameter, I added about 1/8 of an inch to my pattern, just knowing that I'm going to probably burr that. So I need to make sure that when I cut this out of copper, that I have also included enough material that I can burr up the sides and still have a 3-inch side to my piece. I also added more to the top because I know I'm going to turn the top. I'm going to put a wire. I'm going to put my regular, oh gosh, forget what gauge this is. 24 gauge? I'll have to check. Whatever Bob and I normally use. But I'm gonna be using that wire, and then I'm gonna need to fold over. Actually, I think I'm going with a bigger gauge. But anyway, usually I add about 7/16 to take a regular wire, which will allow me to turn the wire, curve it over the wire, and tuck that wire in and still have 3-inch sides. And then remember, when you put this together, if you still want it to be a 10-inch circle on the top, you still need to do your seam allowances. Now, if you're just gonna do a lap seam, you really only need to add about 1/8 of an inch to the end of your pattern to account for that overlap in material. I am going to be doing a crimp seam for this. So I actually added 1/8 for one side of the crimp seam and 3/8 for the other side. So I ended up adding 1/4 of an inch for seam allowances so that I can create a crimp seam when I put this piece together. So now we're gonna go inside and I'm going to show you the tools and kind of what I do to create a frustum of a cone. And then don't worry, because I have a link to where you can go and download the 11-step process with visuals that Bob has created on the Tin Tinkers website, and it is free for a PDF download for any and all. So there we go. Let's go inside and play with wrapping paper. We're inside. We're going to create the frustum of a cone in order to create a cylinder or a non-cylindrical tapered pattern in order to make a tapered vessel, pot, pan shape, whatever you have it. And I am going to show you kind of the trickier parts of the 11-part process. We've already discussed some of this out in the shop. So now I'm gonna just give you a couple of visuals on some of the trickier things, and then I leave it up to you to actually read the PDF if you want to create your own tapered pattern for your designs. Okay, here we go. Okay, so there you have it. As I have put in the links to Bob's awesome explanation, step-by-step drawing as well, of how to do a frustum of a cone, you now can make tapered vessels, hopefully at home with your very own wrapping paper. But if you have any questions, of course, please put them in the comments, and if I don't know, I will certainly ask Bob. And yeah, we go from there. I'm looking at this and I'm going, I feel like this is only half of my taper bowl, so I may have gotten even some of this wrong, but I don't think so. We'll figure it out later. And then, as you saw in the shop, you definitely are going to be cutting this out and gluing it, like the spray glue is the best, to a piece of tin, and then cutting that out. And then that's your pattern. So there you go, the frustum of a cone. Thank you for watching.